You are listening to the Billy Dees podcast. We are waiting just a minute for everyone to engage the live stream. Remember, you can find the Billy Dees podcast on your favorite platform.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. If you're new here on X and all the other various platforms that we are live on, we wait just a moment for everybody to lock onto the live stream, especially since we have a number of different platforms. With me getting ready is Shamanisis. Shaman, what's going on?
I'm doing great, Billy. I don't know if you've noticed, but I have a new setup.
Yes, I've noticed the
mic is
microphone.
very handy.
Yes, the microphone is awesome, and you do that so well. You're gonna have to do that some more during the program. Okay. We're waiting for everybody to, like I said, just a moment, courtesy, so people have a chance to find the live stream, lock onto it, and then we're going to get going. So thank you very much for being here. Primarily, we are live on X, but this also includes Rumble, a lot of other different places, LinkedIn, Facebook, and I'm probably missing something, but there's a number, YouTube. Yes. So we're going to get started here right now. I'm going to pause just a moment. The podcast that you normally hear on all the different platforms is recorded separately. So we're about to engage that and get going. All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the program. As always, I am absolutely thrilled that you are here. If you've never checked out the program before, the podcast is primarily an interview and a commentary-based program, and on Thursday nights, it's commentary, it's discussion, and we are live on X. With me is Shamanisis. Shaman, what is going on?
Hello, Billy. Oh, not much and a whole lot at the same time. Just psyched to be back on the show again. It's been great to see it grow over
Yes.
the last few months.
Yes, it's been fun, and I know it's done. It's been good for both of us in terms of exposure and experience and other things. So that's awesome. You have a new, I don't know about a new microphone, but a new microphone setup. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Now, I love this stuff. So that's
Oh,
awesome.
I know. I had fun. I was like, girl, it's time. It's time to like do a little setup. And I'm, a big fan of purple, and my own podcast has a lot of purple in the graphics. So it's very Mean Streets looking, very Tokyo
Yes.
anime. So yeah.
Awesome. Going to talk about a number of different things today. We're going to talk about some things that are very much media related. Okay, we're going to get into that. And we're also going to talk about some more election stuff, and some more gaffes from Biden, and an experience that I had this week on social media that was interesting. So we're going to get into all of that. First of all, let's get into RFK now. I am from Ohio, and Ohio, along with Florida, certainly California, Texas, New York, these are all very critical states in any election. And Ohio now has RFK Jr. on the ballot. Woohoo!
Progress.
Yes. So I'm in a holding pattern with the election. I'm not going to endorse anybody or say I'm going to come that this is my man yet. But I got to tell you that RFK certainly has my attention.
Yeah, me too.
I really like the vibe there.
Mhm.
There was a trend here a couple days ago on social media where I think it started with younger folks. They held a picture up of themselves on social media. They did a selfie, what have you, and they would say something like, "Hi, I'm Brett. I'm 22 years old, and I'm from Wisconsin, and I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden." Okay. And so I started with some young folks, and it kind of went up the ladder. More and more people were doing it, and it just grew into this thing. And a lot of them were retweeting each other, and they were piggybacking some of the tweets. So I thought, well, all right, I'm going to jump in on this, right? Now, here again, I'm from Ohio, and there's a lot of things in our arts district in the town that I'm from about the Professional Football Hall of Fame. So I was in the arts district, and there's this big mural up there about where the NFL started. So I took my picture in front of that, and I put it on there. I'm Billy Dees. I'm from Ohio. and I am not going to vote for Joe Biden. But then I continued on. And as a matter of fact, nobody is because he's not running.
Oh, you're
And
just poking the bear.
I know I'm just poking the bear. And I'm more convinced than ever. If I had to bet right now, I would say Joe Biden is not going to be running for the Democratic ticket this fall. I can't imagine, and I'm not being mean. Comes
Yeah.
down to I got a lot of negativity about this, and oddly enough, I got some negativity from people that I'm not sure read the whole tweet because they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Bill, that
Nice imitation.
yeah, you feel this way, but he's a fine man and he's this and that, and I respect people's opinions. I do. If that's your reality, that's fine. But honestly, this is 2024, and I'm saying this for a reason. The next president is going to serve 4 years, starting about almost a year from now, up until 2029. Now, when you
Yeah.
hear there 2029 in the year 2024, if you honestly can tell me that Joe Biden is going to be at the top of his game for the next, 5 years, you're just not living in reality.
I honestly
Am
don't
I
think
wrong
there's
about that?
any amount of drugs that they can pump him full of that is gonna make that even a possibility. It's already really awkward. I mean, it's degrading at a shocking pace. If
Yeah,
you just go back and look a year ago, like his decline, I honestly wonder if they're not hiding something about his physical health.
I don't know, but I got to tell you here again, as a human being, I don't want to see the guy run. If that was my dad or my grandpa,
Yeah,
I said, no, Dad, it's enough. And it's time to enjoy your life. It's time to let
yeah.
somebody else do this.
He doesn't wanna I mean, it's very obvious that he does not want to run, that he's running for the power that it gives his party, and
Yeah,
it comes across in everything, and all these people, I'm not a Democrat or Republican, but the amount of ass kissing from people talking about him in a way that is so unrealistic and so not what he's ever reflected in his behavior,
never.
it's delusional. It's as delusional as people who are really, really super pro Trump. It's like they're both into the spectrum are idiots.
Yeah. There's a clip going around of Johnny Carson talking about some of his faux pas. Now this is going back some ways. All right. He's always been a goof. And that's not to say I hate him
Yeah.
or whatever. He's always been a goof. There's been a lot of politicians that have been goofs. And he's one of them. And the fact of the matter is, from a humanitarian standpoint, I don't want to see this guy suffer. I don't want to see this guy die some miserable death in office from old age and stress. But here's the thing: if you and I right now we're having a behind the scenes meeting in the Democratic chambers of God knows where, right? We're going to decide the Democratic strategy. If you and I are having this discussion,
Yeah.
he is his negative numbers are lower than any president. I believe the stats said in 70 years. This includes Nixon, all of them.
Actually, Nixon
Okay.
was really well liked by the people.
In the beginning, he
In
was
the
sure.
beginning, yeah,
Yeah,
until
yeah.
until it got taken out by the powers that be.
72 was one of the biggest elections ever for a win. And no, from what I've been able to tell, any sitting president with negative numbers this low, coming up on an election at this point has never won.
Yeah.
So you got a statistical long shot to begin with, and even if he wins, it's like the dog that chases the car. What's he going to do with it when he gets it? He can't stay in there much longer. So the conventional common sense would be they have to have a plan. If they're really serious about winning, they have to have a plan, and that plan has to be a switcheroo of some kind.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't believe for a second that the people who are really in control of the Democratic Party haven't already had they have an agenda. One is use him to hang on to the White House. Although I think it's backfiring on them because they didn't realize how much of a sham it was gonna come across to people, and then deal with it when they get there. They just at this point, I think they really just wanna get there, but they've had conversations about the different options that they've had and have come up with people. I don't believe for a second that anybody who's watched him on video for 5 seconds in one of his embarrassing moments hasn't had a conversation on some level. They have to
Yeah.
have at this point.
Well, I don't know if you followed the career of Muhammad Ali, but he did a thing one time called the rope-a-dope. And that's where he let his opponent keep punching him for so many rounds until he got tired. And then he came alive on him. And I really think right now what the Democrats are doing is they're letting the Republicans beat on Biden. All just look how old he is. Look how incompetent it is. Look how badly he's handling foreign affairs and all this other stuff. And they're going to do the switcheroo. And all of a sudden, the Republicans aren't going to have a message anymore because the anti-Biden vote isn't going to be there.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't guarantee just because they change the candidate that that they're going to win. But the thing is, whether you like Trump or not, if you really, let's say you're a Trump supporter, look in the mirror right now and really be honest with yourself. The reason he's high up in the polls is because he's the lesser of two dumb shits. That's
and they're both dumb shits.
that's why he's up. He's up because he's running against a corpse. As a matter of fact, if Donald Trump right now, I don't care what candidate the Republicans would have. The Republicans could be running Vlad the Impaler right now, and Biden would still lose. Okay. So it's not your candidate that's up in the polls. It's the disdain for Biden. It is the lack of confidence that people have that he is going to be able to get through the election and through another term.
And even with the control that they have over the media, well, the traditional media, they can't control social media. And that's where a lot of the real truth of what's going on there is coming out. People smell a rat. Like, they don't like to be sold lame ducks or situations that are bullshit. And people can smell the BS going on with the Democratic Party propping Biden up. It's like the whole party's behind him, like going, just don't fall over.
Yes. Well,
and I don't dislike Biden. I don't have an. I've never personally met him. So when I hear people, I really love him, I really respect him. It's like, how you've never even met him? How do you respect someone you've never met?
Those are facades too. I mean, politicians are a lot like actors, So I've played this before. I'm going to play it again because I'm going to play the first one because this is the one that got everybody's attention. I'm going to play this one more time. This is where Joe Biden's reading off a teleprompter, and he reads the line he's supposed to read, but he also reads his instructions afterwards, which were to pause. Here we go.
Imagine what we can do next. 4 more years. Pause. 4 more years.
Okay.
Sorry, it's the way he says pause.
Pause.
It's not even the fact that he said pause, it's the fact that he dragged it out.
Pause.
Yeah. Because he's not catching it during all. That's the really frightening part if you're paying attention to communication, is that he's taking that long to not register that he's saying a word that he's not supposed to. Because most of them would just laugh it off and be like, but he's still not catching it at the end, which is scary.
Yeah, he's still not catching it. And here's the thing: he's had a number of things like that where he's read instructions before. This goes back to 2022. I just don't have them, but he's read a number of them. Here's another one for you. Here he is talking about a name, and somebody put probably in brackets or something that this was the person's last name. And here's Joe Biden here again, and he just keeps rolling with it. He just keeps on right on going.
My theology professor at the Catholic school I went to was a guy named Riley, last name, and he had been drafted by the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
Last name.
Yeah. At this point, Shaman, let me tell you this. if you are handling Joe Biden, if I was in charge of handling Joe Biden, the person who put any instructions or any words on that teleprompter that weren't supposed to be read gets fired. They
Yeah.
should know better by now. Am I wrong about that? Would you?
No, at this point, like, they gotta stop putting instructions in there because he's not aware enough to actually catch it. And it's really, I mean, and I've said this before, it's embarrassing that the president of the United States is in this state and
Yeah.
people are trying to convince us that he's gonna be able to, I mean, that's what makes me not trust a lot of liberals, because I've had conversations with people I really like, and I cannot get them to admit that he is not in a state to run. They literally are. I don't even believe they're delusional about it. They've so bought into the fact that they have to support him that they are willing to stand there and lie to my face about what they really think about him. They're like, "Oh, he's great. He's
Yeah.
fine. He'll make it another 4 years." And I'm like, "Are you? What are you on? What are you
Yeah.
all on?"
I got to tell you here again, I have friends who are staunch Democrats. Some of them I work for, and sometimes I get a little nervous about the things I say on about Democrats on this program, because a lot of the people that pay me to touch up their programs and do technical things are really, really, really Democrat people.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And but here's the thing: if you honestly can tell me that in deep down in that this person should be running again, it's not possible. So if I was RFK and if I was Donald Trump, and Vivek Ramaswamy said the same thing. He said, "You better get ready because there's a big change up coming, and if they get a big heavy hitter name, like a Tulsi Gabbard, which I know is everybody's, oh, that's impossible, and it might very well be impossible because she left the Democratic Party on bad terms." But if somebody of that stature and those polling numbers gets on that ticket, the whole game has changed. The whole game has changed. So it's going to be interesting. That is for sure.
I think one of the reasons that they haven't announced anybody is because they needed Trump to get through some of the worst of this court crap
Yeah.
to because it's going to splatter all over whoever his running mate is, and so they're waiting to see where that resides. And my guess is they're probably courting her pretty heavily.
I'm curious as to what happens with his vice presidency. His vice president's going to be key, and ultimately what the Democrats do. And I'm not the only one that's saying it. Vivek like cake is saying it. And I say that if you're not aware, he did a rap one time where he says his name is Vivek like cake. He's saying it. Joe Rogan is saying it. As a matter of fact, Joe Rogan says it's going to happen soon.
So, what do you mean, the vice president?
No, that the Democrats are going to pull. They're going to change up.
Oh, who they're
Yeah, and I would agree with that. If it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen soon, because about the time the conventions roll around, the time from the conventions to the election in terms of how it feels is a split second. So
right about now they have to be thinking to themselves, why did we piss off Kennedy?
Yes, you would think. I don't know. And some interesting news about Kennedy. Did you hear about the brain worm?
The brain worm. Oh, come on. That's literally the other presidential candidates pushing that. I promise you that they are pushing that narrative to the mainstream media to push out there. I found out it is a real thing.
There's too much.
Oh yeah, but just in terms of now analyzing it, I'm a professional communicator. Spent 20 years. I know media like the back of my hand. I've worked with them for 25 years. There is too much consistency in what was being said about Kennedy in that situation instantly across media for it to be just an accident. That was fed to them probably by the Democratic Party on a silver platter with language all written out.
And this apparently, I don't know how old it is, but this is an old story. This was something about a deposition that happened a decade or so ago. He's long recovered from it. Apparently,
my theology professor.
I didn't mean to hit that.
It's like, are we watching another clip of Biden?
Yes, I didn't mean to. I just adjusted my keyboard here, and the video played.
We're just keeping things exciting,
live.
folks.
It's live. But I checked into this, and apparently these parasites can come. There a lot of the experts, neurosurgeon people that I've read about. This primarily happens with pork.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
undercooked meat. Yeah, is the
yeah.
primary source of it. And I think we probably have a lot
Somebody
more
said
people who've
fish too,
had
but
it.
I'm
Yeah,
not sure if
fish
that's
tuna.
yeah, I'm not sure if that's true. But anyway, so that was an interesting, and the Babylon Bee had a great headline.
Oh my God, they're so funny.
They said even the dead worm from JFK's brain is polling higher than Biden.
I love those guys. They must have so much fun
They're
in their
funny.
editorial room.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of where that. Let me go to this. We'll stay with politics, and then we're going to move to media. The New York governor. Okay. Kathy Hochul, I believe that's how you say her name. She is the 57th and the first female governor of New York State.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome.
I'm
Can
going
I
to
just
play it.
ask before we talk about what
Good.
she did?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Female politicians of the United States, would you just do me a favor as a woman who's worked her ass off to get respect and thinks of, likes to think of herself as intelligent? Stop fucking talking if you're going to embarrass women, because I'm so tired of it. It's literally almost universal, with 90% of the female politicians doing more to embarrass women than to help. Okay. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest,
Okay.
Billy.
Well, you can say that. I wouldn't dare say that. I'd be skewered. But I got to say, there's not a whole lot of intelligence with any of them. But I do agree, regardless of gender, what gender they are. But anyway, getting back to Kathy, this was Kathy's remarks. Here we go.
Young black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word computer is. They don't know. They don't know these things. And I want the world open up to all of them, because when you have their diverse voices innovating solutions through technology, then you're really addressing society's broader challenges.
All right. Go ahead, respond. Go ahead.
Just shut up. Just shut up. If you cannot speak without a script, just stop. It's not helping us. And you sound like an idiot. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel better. I feel better now.
Okay. Obviously this is very out of touch, but let me say this. I'll give her a slight defense. In that I don't believe, I've watched this clip now a number of different times, I don't believe that she was literally saying in that moment that people didn't know what a computer was. I believe what she was trying to get across is that people in those communities don't have them as part of their everyday lives. And that's kind of the loose translation of what I'm trying to say. I believe, it's just like when somebody says, you don't know how to wash the dishes. Well, you know how to wash the dishes. It's just you don't. Okay. So I kind of feel that she was kind of saying that in the spirit of
Oh yeah,
these
no, I
folks.
assumed that's what she meant. But when you're talking about, don't talk about other races or what other race
Oh
challenges
no,
are
that's
if you're going to do it without being present in your language, because the young African American people on TikTok are having a field day.
Oh, I know some of them like some of them are acting like the 2001: A Space Odyssey where they find the bone.
Yeah,
Because a couple of them like that where they find a computer and they're being afraid of it and they try to
Yeah.
open it. That's funny stuff. I'm going to do a little routine for you, a very little routine. Tell me what you think. I'm a Democrat liberal and I'm talking. Okay, here we go. When we have diversity manifesting itself and applied comprehensively to broad and innovative solutions, we can then more effectively process information in a way that benefits the whole of society, and most specifically those underserved sections of our community who have systemically been passed over by the advancements our technology infrastructure that is programmed to clearly serve other sectors of our society. How was that?
God.
I would say I could run for Democrat.
Yeah, you could run for well, they're all starting to sound the same now, and when you start
Yeah.
looking at how they're all supported by a handful of corporations, they start feeling the same too.
So anyway, yeah. I don't know.
That was rather good, by the way, Billy.
Thank you.
Your acting
Oh.
is excellent.
Oh, well, thank you.
I have to say, I like my voice in my new mic setup.
Yes, and that's the proximity effect. That's, I've been trying to tell Shauna. She would not use a microphone when I first started working with her. No, because it covered her face.
Yeah,
And
yeah. It had more to do with the situation I was finding myself in, and the size of the space, because I'm a gypsy, I'm always on the road. I'm a gypsy. I've lived everywhere. The table setup that I was on was like 4 inches, so I didn't have a place to put the mic without sticking it to the side. So that was really what it was about.
okay,
But
fair
yes,
enough. Fair enough.
you were
She's
right.
yeah. I think what really made Shaman turn the corner was when she did the voiceover for her book. She did the audiobook. I
I
think
did.
that's what. Yes. Okay. All right. We're going to talk about a couple media things here real quick. I got to just mention the Tom Brady roast. Whether you like Tom Brady or whether you're a sports fan or not, a lot of people like me have commented on this. There was some really offensive material in that roast. It was sexist. Some people might say racist. Some people say that it was ageist. Some people just say that it was out of taste. They talked about people's private lives. They just tore each other to shreds in the most uncouth way possible. And I got to tell you, it was really good TV. It
Isn't it
was,
nice when we're allowed to be humorous? Haven't
yeah,
we missed it for like the last 10 years? It's been like 10 years since people were allowed to be fucking funny.
yeah. This was good. If you haven't had a chance yet, check out some of the clips, or even if you don't like football, there's there a lot of it. Obviously, you're going to understand a little better if you know the game and you know the players. But it as a whole, you can watch this as a very casual sports fan, because the material in this thing was all over the place. It was absolutely all over the place, and it harkened back to me the kind of humor that you used to hear on Sanford and Son, All in the Family, The Jeffersons, those kind of shows, which would never fly today. They would
Mhm.
never fly today.
But were
Uh,
absolutely brilliant and helped
yes,
break down a lot of race stereotypes, and a lot of it was
absolutely,
instrumental in helping people face complex issues through humor and
absolutely.
truth.
The humor was meant to be edgy so that it made you think, so that it pushed your envelopes, it pushed your sensibilities.
Mhm.
It brought out the absurdity in some of those old-fashioned ideals. That was the whole point.
Yeah.
And now
Archie
we,
Bunker was like the hallmark for that whole thing. He was
yes.
yeah.
So if you haven't had a chance yet, there's a lot of people that are very hopeful that this is part of a trend that a lot of people have been noticing, that people have had enough of this, with this political correctness, to the point where you can't even talk about what you need to talk about without using real words. And it reminds me of a routine that George Carlin, and I know you like George Carlin, he talked about PTSD.
Yeah.
And he talked about in World War One, it was called shell shock, and it was very clear, 2 syllables. And in World War II, it became battle fatigue. A little more syllables now, and that doesn't sound so bad, right? I'm just battle fatigue, just getting kind of tired. It didn't sound so bad. And then by the time Vietnam rolled around, it was post traumatic stress disorder. All
Mhm.
the emotion, all the meaning, all of it was completely taken out of the term. And his point is, had we stayed with shocking terms, those soldiers might have gotten the help that they needed.
Yeah.
And I think that, I understand we have to dance around how we talk about so many things now, whether it be suicide or whether it be assault. Uh, or whether how we refer to patients in that are of psychiatrists. You have to be very careful. You have to call them clients. You have to. There's this thing where we have to talk around every single thing instead of just saying what it is.
Yeah.
And I understand the need for sensitivity. Okay, there's some words that do not belong in the lexicon. I absolutely 100% agree with that. But it's getting to the point now where no matter what you say, it's offensive to someone. Do you have an opinion about that?
Oh, no, it really got to be ridiculous. I mean, really quick, I think one of the biggest problems with all of that in terms of psychology and sensitivity has a lot to do with the DSM. We used to have a handful of labels that pretty much covered most everything, like depression, anxiety. Like there were some pretty basic ones, but now the DSM is like the size of the Bible.
Mhm.
And there's thousands of diagnoses, which all just so happen to correspond to medications that make big corporations money. And just on a side note, for those of you to go down that rabbit hole, half the researchers that work specifically on depression and anxiety are sponsored by big pharma, and the majority of them who work on the DSM are sponsored by big pharma, which should frankly be illegal. But anyway, yeah, I mean, we've gotten to the point where you can't. Humor is a huge part of healing. It's a huge part of people being able to speak about things and understand things and learn new things and be exposed to new things. And we lost our ability to be funny for a really long time because we wanted to control what was funny to other people. And I'm so glad that that's finally going away because it's about damn time.
Yeah. I'm totally with you on that. And there's a time and a place. I want to be clear. I mean, this Tom Brady roast was on paid TV. It's not something that I would want to see on regular TV at 8 o'clock in the evening when the kids are there's a time and a place for everything. Okay. And that's a big part of this as well. But it has gotten to the point now where, Seinfeld has been talking about the fact that it's very difficult to do real edgy comedy anymore because you made an excellent point. I really feel that one of the reasons why they're trying to stifle laughter is because of the fact if you and I disagree on something and I take my point and I make you laugh,
Mhm.
I've created an inroad. I've opened the door a little bit in how you consider that. And that's very powerful. If
Yeah,
you can,
division has been how the powers that be have kept their power in America for such a long time, and it's the collapse of that division that they can't continue to create without controlling things like TikTok, that is causing the breakdown of a lot of hierarchical situations like politics and the donations that go on and the lobbying money that goes into the decisions being pushed through in 3 days magically. They're afraid of that, so they kept us divided for as long as possible, and
sure.
controlling what we find is funny is part of that.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a weapon. If you and I are having a debate, if I had to choose between illustrating a point,
Mhm.
illustrating some statistic that made my point to you, or making you laugh about it, I would probably go with making you laugh. It's far more effective.
Oh, yeah, and it can
And
make us instant friends even though we disagree with each
yes,
other.
yes, and that's something that that they don't like about that. And I kind of really feel that's one of the reasons why they want to stifle comedy is because too many people have inroads into that part of our psyche.
Yeah, and that's
You,
and what people didn't seem to understand about that, which was the thing that I found so disturbing, is like they were so quick to get behind the people controlling comedy without realizing that is literally controlling our speech and
yes,
controlling our humor, and that is should be frightening. It doesn't
yeah,
matter what the political party calls itself.
yeah. Totally agree. The Met Gala is the other part of the media part here. That's kind of your department.
Yeah,
You're
this is
from New York.
interesting. Yeah, I've dressed people for the Met Gala before, and I've actually worked with Anna Wintour before. I didn't, a lot of people are really going off on Anna. I actually liked Anna Wintour. I got along well with her. I did like 5 events. She has a particular type of approach to business, which is very off-putting for other people, but she lives in the world of hierarchies. And, whether you like it or not, that's what her marketing scheme is all about. And the Met Gala is kind of the pinnacle of that. It's like the Academy Awards for celebrity and fashion. And I wondered when I was watching the event unfold a few days ago. This is the first Monday in May. When I was watching the event unfold, I was really kind of put back because I thought they would have a more subdued red carpet because of just how much chaos is going on in the world and how much division is going on. And there's a lot of fear over the costs of things, and people can't afford houses, and kids can't move out of their families' homes, and food has gone up 50%. It is actually a very shocking time to be alive, to see just how much corporate greed is ruling, and crushing the middle class of America. And meanwhile, there seemed to be like no understanding. It was like the PR meeting was missed, and maybe that was the whole point, because chaos and drama creates press, and there's no such thing as bad press. But it was very over the top, and I was watching it going, this is going to create a backlash, especially with the people who are really in support of anti-war right now, because there's atrocities going on both sides. And it's hard to see the truth of what's going on in the world and then
Hmm.
see this very over the top. It was the red carpet was beautifully done, but very, very in your face expensive.
Sure.
And I was like, "Okay, this is gonna be a backlash," but the backlash, Billy, was way worse than you know how I've been talking for 2 years. Well, I've been talking for 2 years about this, but on the show for 6 months, I've been saying that celebrities need to be very careful right now because people are in an off with your heads kind of mood, and the Met Gala timing was just really bad with what's going on college campuses, and so there's a huge backlash on social media, particularly on TikTok. Um, and there's now an anti-celebrity movement going on where everyone's pushing and promoting the idea of blocking all celebrities and all influencers. There was one girl there who was so shamelessly whorish in her desire to be famous that she said, "Let them eat cake." And I knew when she did it that she was purposely playing off the Kellogg's cereal CEO disaster, but she was doing it with the sole goal of being famous because being famous is so fucking important.
Yeah.
And it just was it was badly done. I mean, such poor taste, and the backlash has been pretty epic, and it's all over. I mean, millions of people are unfollowing celebrities, and so if you're a famous person, you need to be aware that the average people in the world, we're not talking about the ends of the spectrum like it used to be for years. They could blow it off because it was just this small percentage of people that were really struggling, but the most people are struggling, and
Yeah.
most people are very concerned about the things that they're finding out about the world that they used to believe existed and versus the world that actually does exist. And they don't want to hear people who are privileged rubbing it in other people's faces while being disconnected from helping other people. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm all for teaching people a lesson, and frankly, I think in this case they actually deserve it.
Yeah. You've mentioned before the anti-celebrity movement. I don't want to call it a movement. It's like it's an organized movement, but there's a disdain that a lot of people in the public have towards celebrities, and it's played itself out in a number of different ways. I believe that this has been sparked by COVID because you had a
Oh,
lot of
I was just saying that
the
to somebody this afternoon. When they started telling people to go get experimental shots or go to prison or lose your job, that's when they
yeah,
crossed the line between being a celebrity that counted on other people to support them, and they turned into a dictator.
yeah.
And that has stayed in people's mouths for years now, and now it's coming back out like vomit.
It's coming back out, and there's a couple of key examples. One of them would have been Oprah, and asking people to make donations in Hawaii. That turned out to have a backlash, and The Rock was involved
Yeah,
in that as well.
that was brainless. I couldn't even believe I was watching that. I
Yeah,
was like, "Who the hell thought this was a good idea?"
yeah. And then there's been literal smaller things. The Drew Barrymore with the Mamala.
Yeah, and J
She w-
Lo with her, "Oh, running through the streets of," which sounds so much like my book,
yeah,
"running through the streets as a crazy young girl." I don't dislike J Lo at all. I mean, she's a smart businesswoman, but it was disingenuous,
yeah.
which is why she got backlash.
Yeah, she got backlash. She probably got it worse than Drew Barrymore did. Although
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
there's some people that can imitate her on TikTok so well.
Oh, you
Oh,
mean
the
Drew
mama.
Barrymore? Yeah.
She does the thing
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
mouth. Yo, the
She's
mama.
got that accent. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They're
and
funny.
yeah, somebody said we need our mama to change our diaper.
Oh god. I don't have a problem with celebrities. I've been very, very and I feel like it deserves saying. I had an incredible career especially the first 15 years of being in marketing and PR because so much of my time was spent working with celebrities all over the world, and I had incredible experiences. I think it's nice to have people to look up to and style to admire, but there's a huge disconnect going on right now between how they benefit from the people and what they should be doing to help the people.
Yeah.
And unless they cross that bridge, they're gonna get canceled because people are
Mhm.
over it. Like, they're getting entertained by Joe next door and grandma,
Exactly.
Ann, and like, they're enjoying that, and that's nice to see.
That's no joke. I was talking to some of my friends who are filmmakers. Ohio and actually up around Cleveland, a lot of people don't understand. That's one of the best kept secrets about film. There's some really good filmmakers in that area, and they're more interested in making a fine story. Good acting and shooting film and all this, and they're not into the celebrity generation that is part of Hollywood, where you create these celebrities and you use them to sell cereal and everything else. And I gotta say, that's something that I don't know that mainstream Hollywood has really figured out yet. That it's, in the 50s, it was TV, and then there was going to be the television when the television was going to take over. And then there was a couple of other different things. In the 70s, you had cable TV, and then you had VCRs, and then you had DVD, and all these things, and Hollywood prevailed through all that.
Yeah.
What you have now, though, is a shift. Through all those things, the celebrities remained the same. Cary Grant was always Cary Grant. Frank Sinatra was always Frank Sinatra, regardless of whether you watched him on TV or watched him on your VCR. Now what you have is you have a generation of young folks out there who are much more apt to know who Kim Kardashian is, or Jake Paul, or one of those kinds of individuals, before they're going to know who Denzel Washington is, or any of those other people. The magic of Hollywood, as they used to refer to it, is in the palm of your hand. There's so many talented people on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it be actors or the funny people or people who can
Comedians,
dance.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. And they're up against something now that they've never been up against. They don't own the talent anymore.
Mm-mm.
The talent is out there in bucket loads, and it's smart people, it's creative people, it's beautiful people, it's on and on and on.
Well, you're seeing this with the music industry. They're a really good example. The music industry really used and abused talented people for a very long time. Financially, just really took advantage. It's just disgusting. And then they started to focus in on influencers, and then influencers realized that if I have 1 million or 2 million followers on social media, what the hell do I want to? Why would I sign my life away to a
Why do you need
label?
to? Why do you need to give a percent?
Yeah, and
Most
Hollywood has a twofold
yeah.
issue. One of them is the fact that AI and the ability to generate scripts and content and visuals can now be done by computers without people, and the average person is enjoying watching the average person that is talented generate
Absolutely.
content, and so it's devastating the entire like Hollywood, which is a huge part of the celebrity culture, and so
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons I kept saying they need to be real careful right now because the carpet is worn out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, yeah, you almost knocked yourself out
Gotta
with
get
your new
used to
microphone.
I gotta get used to having this big microphone in my face.
But
I do like that voice.
Yes, that's it, man. The proximity effect. We want more of that. So, all right, Shaman. Well, about to wrap things up here. Tell folks where people can find you online and all the things you're doing. New magazine, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. Well, Memory Mansion is still out there. It re-hit the bestseller list this last week. And I was excited about that. So if you like self-love journeys that share warts and all stories, then you'll love Memory Mansion. I've got Soul Tech magazine. The second issue of it just came out. It's the goddess issue. And that's a lot of fun, a lot of great interviews in there about conscious living. And then I've got an event coming up in New York on the 21st at Cowgirl Hall of Fame. I'm going to be doing a talk there about Memory Mansion and writing it. And if people want to learn more about the work that I do or about my social media, just go to shamanisis.com or at Shamanisis.
Fantastic. Billy Dees, you can find me on X, the former Twitter, at Billy Dees. My bio is in my X account, but you can pretty much find me anywhere when it comes to social media. I'm on most of the major stuff, although I got to say I do concentrate on X, but we're on YouTube and all those others as well, Facebook and so on. And coming up in the later part of the month, got a really interesting author interview. The guy's a playwright, lots of other good stuff. I'll hold back some information, but later in May, that's going to be rolling out. Real excited about that. So lots of good stuff is heading your way, and Shaman and I might be doing some more stuff as I'm going to say after Memorial Day, things are going to get very interesting in the political field.
Is that Memorial Day or Labor Day? I always get the two confused.
Memorial Day is first. Memorial Day kind of kicks off summer, and then Labor Day, which is in September, the 1st of September.
Got it.
That kind of is the unofficial end of summer. It's not, by terms of seasons, but in terms of how people think, that's when everybody goes back to school and, gets back to work and all those other things. So yeah, Memorial Day coming up later in May. After we get past that, the convention season is going to be heating up, and what's going on with the candidates is going to be heating up. And Shaman and I will be producing a lot of content about that. If you want to tweet us, you can do that. You can tweet Shamanisis at Shamanisis, myself at Billy Dees. A lot of times during the program, and we're on so many platforms, we can't respond to all the things going on, but we generally try to hit people who, whether they agree or disagree, as long as they're respectful, we usually acknowledge most of the comments that come our way. All right, Shaman. Well, thank you very much, as always, for being on the program and co-hosting with me and all that other good stuff. And
Always
thanks
a pleasure.
yes, and in stream land, live streaming land. Thanks, everyone, for checking out the program today, and we will talk to you again next week.
Thank you for listening to the Billy Dees podcast. Follow Billy Dees on X @BillyDees for updates about the program.